Back in 2012, Bethesda Softworks and Arkane Studios released their sleeper hit Dishonored. Now 4 years later, they're back with a follow-up. So, is it worth it? Let's find out. Truly great stealth games are few and far between, and for good reason. It's essentially a genre about patience, with little room for procedural error. Fortunately, Dishonored 2 avoids these common pitfalls by placing player choice in the forefront of its design, offering a myriad of exciting methods to complete a single objective. Combined with an enthralling revenge story and imaginative industrial world, Dishonored 2 is a rewarding and multi-layered experience. Taking place 15 years after the previous entry, Dishonored 2 continues the story of the royal protector Corvo Attano and his daughter, Empress Emily Kaldwin. The once chaotic capital of Dunwall has transformed into a peaceful city. But Emily's authority comes under question when the Duke of Serkovos reveals the discovery of Delilah Copperspoon, sister of the previous Empress and rightful heir to the throne. With a successful coup ousting the former ruler, Emily and Corvo must embrace their dark supernatural powers to extract revenge on their conspirators and regain control of the crown. Yes, that's a lot of pronouns, but Dishonored 2's economic storytelling quickly informs both fans and newcomers. Within the first cutscene, players are introduced to all of the game's antagonists, setting the stage for missions to come. But their personalities and backstories are further fleshed out as the players invade their well-defended sanctuaries, with plenty of scattered notes and background dialogue explaining their motivations, building the anticipation to a face-to-face encounter, and always tying back to the central narrative. Though this devotion to world building often leaves Emily and Corvo as blank slates, and while this certainly allows the audience to project themselves, the protagonists come off as circumstantial motivators rather than true characters. But this approach does empower players to decide their own technique. Dishonored 2's first-person gameplay emphasizes stealth, but outside of a very few select instances, there are no failure states. Feel like getting up close and personal? That works fine. Want to snipe guards from a distance? There's nothing holding you back. Instead, Dishonored offers two paths for success: a pacifistic style where enemies are knocked out, and a chaotic style where opposing forces are brutally cut down. It's remarkable how balanced the gameplay is regardless of your preference, providing enough challenges to overcome through vicious murder or restraint, though the elimination of key targets is more satisfying in the non-violent method, where powerful enemies are stripped of their valuable possessions, leaving them broken and helpless. But Dishonored's most brilliant design choices come in the form of the Bone Charms, selectable perks that influence your playstyles, and Void Powers, where players are able to summon swarms of vicious rats to consume soldiers, teleport high above the streets to avoid detection, or temporarily identify threats through walls. And this is where the character selection plays a key role, with Corvo and Emily featuring unique supernatural abilities. For my first playthrough, I relied heavily on the Empress's quick dash to navigate rooftops and perches, knocking out individual guards along the way. But in my ruthless replay, I resorted to Corvo's barbaric wind powers to kill several enemies at once. While the dialogue and cutscenes are nearly identical for both characters, the difference in capabilities and chosen method drastically altered my approach. There were a surprising amount of locations and side missions I only discovered in my second run, which were every bit as detailed as the direct path. Enhancing Void Powers and acquiring new Bone Charms is only possible by tracking down and obtaining them throughout the large hub worlds. While their positions can always be seen with the tap of a button, locating their exact spot is a puzzle in and of itself. This is largely due to the diverse environments. Gloomy hospitals, lush mansions, and haunting manors each feature their own vibrant color palette, ranging from oppressive grays to inviting oranges. The impressive lighting engine allows for several fast-moving creatures to display shadows without dipping below 30 frames per second. Though on occasion, I did notice some odd surrounding static and objects passing through solid matter. And while the character models are well performed and designed, their stiff faces can be a bit distracting. Still, the long draw distances from the city's rooftops and real-time environmental transformations more than make up for these small blemishes. So, is it worth it? Yes. Dishonored 2 doesn't rely on consequence. If there's a door blocking your path, you can find another way or simply blast it down. In either situation, the result is largely the same, but it's through this open model that players can find their own solutions without having to compromise on their chosen strategy. Only the most diehard completionists will discover most of what Dishonored 2 has to offer, but even then, a second playthrough feels mandatory, with numerous opportunities to practice Corvo's growing powers. Dishonored 2's dedication to player empowerment keeps its gameplay consistently fresh, and revenge ever sweet. Dishonored 2 is currently available on the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC for $60. If you've had a chance to play it, let me know what you thought, and if you haven't, let me know if you plan on picking it up. My name is Colin, and I'll see you in the next video.